Hi, I'm Chris Haughey and welcome to Create with Chris. Today we're painting something merry and bright. This adorable snowman ornament is from my Twinkle Magic collection. It's painted on a classic Christmas light bulb shape, has all the charm, a little bit rustic, a little bit grungy, and totally trendy. Best of all, this can be painted up, believe it or not, in just about 30 minutes. This is a no-stress fun ornament that is just packed with tips, tricks, and technique that are going to make your painting world just a little bit easier and a lot more impressive, even if you're a beginner. So grab your brushes, your favorite drink, and let's get painting. I'm base coating with a light coverage of buttermilk using an oval wash. This is 3/4 inch. Kind of start in the middle and work it toward the outer edges. That makes sure my outer edges stay nice and clean. I just want to make sure that I have a nice even coverage with long smooth strokes. I let that dry and I did give it a quick second coat. Now I picked up a little bit of Snow White on my number 12 Fantastic Filbert and slap that kind of in the middle, and a little bit of buttermilk and around the outer edge, and blended the wet paint pretty much together. I want this to be a little bit on the fluffy side and not smooth and even, so you can let your hair down and just get a little bit brush happy, kind of pop those colors in, let there be a little bit of texture. If it's too white, pick up some buttermilk. If it's too buttermilk, pick up some white. Let it dry really well. Loading the toe of my 1/2 inch angle with light cinnamon. And as you can see, this is a different way of shading. I want this to be a little bit more relaxed, so I'm not smoothing it out. I just want it to be a little bit choppy. Kind of use my finger to pick a center point for the nose. Loaded my radical round with burnt orange, kind of twisted it and pulled it to just create a real simple nose. I do want the eyes to be in the correct place, so I'm using a pencil to mark the centers, and then I just position my painter's pal right over those dots and stencil the eyes in with soft black. Make sure after you load your stencil brush to wipe it on a paper towel. That will ensure nice, crisp, clean edges. And definitely these can be painted with a brush. I loaded my number 12 diverse dry brush with a little bit of wild berry. Just going to dry brush on some cheeks. This is such a fun, non-fussy type of ornament. You can crank this out very easily in a half an hour. Don't get hung up on the little things. I do think adding certain details really ramps it up, even though it's a little bit rustic and grungy. I loaded a bit of aqua sky on the toe of my 1/4 inch angle, just putting a little bit of color in the eyes. Picked up some Snow White on my 18-knot script liner. Just line those little comma strokes in there and add a sparkle in the eye, couple sparkles in the top left corner. And just like that, the eyes look fantastic. I wanted to deepen the bottom of the nose, picked up a little bit of deep burgundy, just kind of tapped it on. Not smoothing it out, I just want it to be very visible. The eyelashes are lamp black, and you can use a liner for this or a micron pen. Put these little eyebrows in there. Boom, boom, boom. It's all finished on the eyes. I wanted the mouth holes to also be a little bit non-symmetrical, and so I just used the toe of my radical round and soft black to pop that in there. Add a little bit of aqua sky in that bottom right corner. Again, it's not smooth and even. I love adding these irregular dot scratchy highlights, and I just kind of tap them in. It also makes it look like those pieces of coal are not smooth and perfect and round. Adding a little bit of Snow White on my script liner. Definitely need that little sparkle on the cheeks. I wanted this to really shine and stand out. Might take a couple coats. White, when it dries, does diminish in intensity, so just add that until it's nice and strong. Don't worry about it being matching exactly. I think this adds a little more whimsy when the snowflakes are just a little bit looser and not so perfect. I dip dotted the centers and all of the tines with Snow White. Just use my stylus, adding that little bit of light cinnamon underneath the eyes, the nose, the mouth. This little touch of color makes a huge difference. Does not have to be perfect, smooth, and even. Base coating the top of the bulb with salted caramel. And just using my filbert to slide that paint across. This will also take 2 coats of paint. Adding a little more shading at the top. I did it before, but the bulb kind of covered it up. This is where the fun kind of happens. I picked up some raw umber on the bottom of my palette knife. Do not overload. Very, very, very thin amount of paint on the bottom of my palette. Reload often. I usually have pretty much a vertical stroke on this so that it doesn't go sideways, staying on the outer edge, but kind of pulling across. Be very timid when applying this. Shading the top or the bottom of each layer of that bulb topper with light cinnamon. Most of this will be covered up, so it's another step. It's important to do it, but you don't need to spend a lot of time on it. Just get that dimension and depth in there. This is buttermilk, loaded my radical round. I just lift my brush, swoop it in and lift it up, and then I enhance it with a little pop of Snow White. This is a fun, loose, happy, easy ornament, so don't spend a lot of time. Adding a little more shading. I forgot to do the nose and the eyes earlier. Light cinnamon, and I'm allowing it to be a little choppy and uneven. It just adds more personality, kind of enhances that grungy farmhouse appeal. But look what it does to the eyes and the face. It looked kind of flat before, now it really stands out. So even if you're not an experienced painter, adding this little float of light cinnamon, whether it's smooth or a little choppy, is going to be perfect. Now that I have all that in there, I thought it just needed a little more grunge. Just picking up a tiny, tiny bit of that raw umber and adding it a little stronger. Now that I am a little more confident on how it's turning out, I can just add that in there very easily. If you're nervous about this, you can always put a coat of varnish on, let it dry really well before you apply the grunge. And it gives a little safety net. You can wipe it off if you're not happy. This is definitely an optional step, but I think it looks so interesting and it's so trendy right now. And it's super easy to do. You just have to keep a light touch, minimal paint. To paint the snowflake, I have trouble with a brush, so I'm just loading my finger. If you overload your finger, it's going to drip down the side, so I just have a little bit of paint. Takes 2 coats with a brush. It'll take 2 coats with your finger. I wanted to brighten the center up with a little bit of Snow White. Light touch, touch, touch. Don't push it real hot and heavy or overload it. He needs a little bit of snowfall, so I've loaded my splatter brush with Snow White. Just going to lightly splatter. I try to keep it off of his eyes as much as possible. And just put a little bit, and that's so sweet. The little bit of snow just brightens him up and adds that little bit of winter cheerfulness. On the snowflake, I am going to tap some varnish on it just to get it lightly covered, and then I'll sprinkle it with a little bit of glitter. I'm using the Crystal Glamour Dust. Let it dry, then lightly tap it and brush to remove the excess glitter. To finish this up, I did tie a little bow out of hemp cording, or you could use a thin jute or baker's twine, a sprig of greenery, a couple little holly berries, and I attached everything to the ornament with hot glue. All of the supplies I used are listed in the links below, so be sure to check them out. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a like, hit the bell, subscribe, and share it with your friends. That way you won't miss out on any upcoming tutorials. I love how this little snowman turned out, and I hope you picked up a few tips and techniques to make your painting life a little easier and a lot more fun. If you paint this project, I'd love to see your version. Please share your results, and of course, feel free to leave a comment or question below. I always enjoy hearing from you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I can't wait for our next painting adventure together. And remember, a little bit of paint makes a big difference.